You know the story of Abraham and Isaac, right? On Mount Moriah, a father, a son, and this absolutely terrifying command from God. It's one of those stories that just sticks with you. But what if there's a huge piece of it we've all been missing? Let's get into it.
So, for literally centuries, the main take has been that this is the ultimate test of faith, right? Abraham's blind obedience. But when you dig into the original context, something else, something way more dramatic starts to emerge. It looks less like a simple test and more like a high-stakes showdown between two totally different ideas of who God is.
Okay, so to really get this, we've got to peel back some of the layers we've put on this story over the years. We need to look at what's been forgotten. Now, the way we usually hear it is pretty straightforward. God tests Abraham's loyalty by asking for the absolute impossible, his son's life. And look, that reading is all about radical, unquestioning faith. It's powerful, for sure, but it's not the whole story, not even close.
And you know, the biggest clue has been sitting right there, hiding in plain sight, from the very first sentence. The original Hebrew kicks off with the phrase, after these things. And that's not just some throwaway transition, it's an instruction. It's practically begging us to ask the question, after what things? It's a giant arrow pointing back, telling us the key to this whole thing is in what just happened.
And this is the context we've mostly forgotten. Right before this command, the story tells us Abraham had been living for many days in the land of the Philistines. And listen, that's not just a random location marker on a map. It's the entire stage for the drama that's about to unfold. He was deep in a foreign culture, completely surrounded by their gods.
So yeah, being immersed in this Philistine culture, it created this kind of spiritual pressure cooker for Abraham. He's surrounded by these rival gods who, let me tell you, play by a completely different set of rules. So, in the world Abraham was living in, you had gods like Baal and Dagon, and they were the ones you went to for big stuff, like rain, good crops, and kids. But here's the catch. Their whole system was transactional. It was like a business deal. They give you a blessing, but that blessing immediately creates a debt, and you were absolutely expected to repay it, usually with a piece of whatever you got. Which leaves this huge question mark hanging over the God of Abraham, doesn't it? And that right there, that's the central conflict. Think about it. After getting this miracle son, Isaac, every single person, every cultural signal around Abraham would have been screaming the same thing. Okay, now you owe him. Time to pay up. The question would have been just unavoidable for him. Is my God just like all the others? A God who gives you something amazing just so he can demand it back later? But Abraham had a very specific name for his God, one that completely clashed with the local deities. This is where we get to know El Olam, the everlasting provider.
El Olam, it literally means the everlasting God. See, this wasn't some moody, seasonal god like Baal who might help you out this year but not the next. No, this was a God whose entire nature was about permanence. His character didn't change. And that meant his promises were rock solid, forever. They were gifts, full stop, not loans.
And what were these promises? Well, there were three big ones, three everlasting gifts. First, an everlasting covenant, a permanent relationship. Second, an everlasting family line, which Isaac was the living proof of. And third, everlasting provision, like literally finding water and life in the middle of a desert. These weren't temporary deals you had to pay back. They were permanent truths, grounded in who God was.
And check this out. Before God even gives the command, Abraham goes out and makes this huge public statement. He plants a tamarisk tree. Now, this isn't just landscaping, okay? In the ancient world, this was a massive deal, a powerful ritual. He was basically purifying the space and planting a flag, declaring for everyone to see, this ground belongs to El Olam, the giver, not the demanding gods of this place.
All right, so now the stage is perfectly set for the climax. And that journey to Moriah, it wasn't just a hike. It was 3 long days of intense, soul-searching reflection.
And here's another linguistic key that changes everything. The Hebrew word we translate as test is nasa, but it doesn't really mean a test like a pop quiz, where you pass or fail. It's closer to something like a divine unveiling. The whole point of the experience is for the benefit of the person going through it. So this was never about God needing to find out if Abraham was faithful. It was about Abraham needing to find out, once and for all, who God truly was.
Just imagine that 3-day walk. It's so slow, so deliberate. It gives Abraham all this time to just wrestle with it all, to turn that one question over and over in his mind. Is my God a taker, just like the gods around me?
Or is he the provider, the El Olam I claimed he was when I planted that tree? It's basically a pilgrimage of discernment.
And then comes the question from Isaac. It's absolutely devastating. So simple, so innocent, but it slices right to the heart of this entire theological crisis. Where is the lamb? What Isaac is really asking his dad, what are we going to use to pay the debt?
And Abraham's answer? Wow, it's got to be one of the most profound statements of faith ever recorded. He doesn't say, I have no idea, and he certainly doesn't say, son, it's you. He says, God himself will provide the lamb. And see, that's not him predicting the future. It's a raw declaration of trust in God's character. In that moment, he's choosing to stake everything on El Olam, the provider, not the transactional gods he's been living amongst.
Which brings us to the final, incredible showdown on that mountain, where the true nature of God is about to be revealed in a way no one could forget.
So the knife is raised, the moment is here, and just then, the angel stops him. And he looks up, and there it is, a ram, tangled in a thicket. This is it, the moment of truth. The two competing ways of seeing God are about to go head-to-head for the final verdict.
And this is the ultimate reveal. That ram isn't just a lucky substitute, it's a complete top-to-bottom rejection of the entire Philistine idea of how gods work. It's God screaming from the mountaintop, I am not a God who demands you pay me back. I am the God who provides the sacrifice myself.
So there you have it, the final verdict in this contest of the gods. You've got the Philistine gods on one side, transactional, all about debt and repayment, where you have to find something to give them. And on the other side, you have El Olam, the God of Abraham, a covenantal God, all about gift and promise, who provides his own offering and whose very nature is to protect and provide.
So you see, when you look at it this way, the story isn't just about Abraham's incredible obedience, as amazing as that was. It's really a story about God's incredible identity. This was the moment God revealed in the most unforgettable way that he is Yahweh Yireh, the Lord who provides.
And that leaves us with a question that's just as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. We live in a world that feels so transactional, right? A world where we constantly feel like we have to earn our keep, prove our worth. So what does it really mean to put our trust in a God who provides instead of a God who demands?